Hello, good and faithful people of the Church of the Mediator. It's Father Dale. I hope you're well whenever and wherever it is you hear this message this week. Earlier this week, we celebrated the Feast of the Epiphany of our Lord, the celebration of the manifestation of Christ to the peoples of the earth, which is represented by those wise men from the East coming and bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, following a star that they had discerned in the heavens to find the Christ child about 2 years old with his mother just before they fled because of political opposition by King Herod into Egypt as refugees. Of course, that means that we are now in the season after Epiphany. This Sunday is the feast of the baptism of our Lord, and we'll be celebrating the baptism of Jesus in the River Jordan by John the Baptist. And we will, of course, renew our baptismal vows, which is why I'm here in front of the font as we enter our holy and sacred space here at the Church of the Mediator. This font that was dedicated to the memory of the men and women of this parish who served in World War II from 1941 to 1945. So you come into the space on Sunday. I hope, as many of you do already, that you will dip your fingers in the font and you will bless yourselves, remembering your baptism, that you have been made Christ's own, sealed and delivered forever, my friends. This Sunday, we celebrate the Eucharist at 9 a.m. in English and 1 p.m. in Spanish. As usual, the same we will do the following week, which is the 18th, 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. And then the 25th, the last Sunday of this month, is the oddball because we will celebrate at 10 a.m. We'll have the annual meeting before the dismissal from the Eucharist here in the nave. We will conduct our annual meeting and then we will have lunch together. That's the last Sunday of the month. I know there's been a little bit of confusion. I think we're all getting into 2026 just a little bit confused. It's the last Sunday of January that is the annual meeting of this parish. Materials will be forthcoming. Vestry, those to be elected to vestry, those to be elected to diocesan convention, those to be elected to the outreach endowment trustees, all of those things that we do as part of our annual meeting, we will be producing for you and making sure that you have those in hand for the annual meeting, end of the month, last Sunday. This Sunday at the 9 a.m., we will open our Eucharist with hymn number 370, which is St. Patrick's Breastplate. I think I've talked about this hymn before. It's a favorite of mine, not least because when I started seminary in 2013, that fall, each fall at General Seminary in New York, we matriculated, which was we had a ceremony in which each new seminarian, first-year seminarian, would sign our name in the book, the Register of Seminarians, that goes all the way back to 1817 when General Seminary was founded. And during that signing, that matriculation ceremony, we sang St. Patrick's Breastplate. And I will say to you that I think one of the things that I've been contemplating as we move towards this Feast of the Baptism of our Lord this year is the 6th stanza of St. Patrick's Breastplate. St. Patrick's Breastplate, the hymn, which has a tune that was more or less adapted from folk songs by Charles Villiers Stanford, and Ralph Vaughan Williams is that middle tune to stanza 6, which we'll talk about in a minute, was from one of the earliest texts in Irish, a text written, attributed to St. Patrick of Ireland, the apostle to Ireland, sent from Rome by the Pope to convert the Irish people to Christianity. But what's interesting about this is really St. Patrick's Breastplate, the text, St. Patrick's Lorica, it's also known as L-O-R-I-C-A, is an incantation. It's a Celtic invocation of God and of God's protection against all kinds of things, against lightning and tempest and fire and flood and death and famine, and against evil spirits and against Satan, all those things. Some of that does not necessarily appear in our contemporary hymn text, but it is part of the original invocation that is the breastplate of St. Patrick's. That's why it's literally called a breastplate, as if you're putting on the armor of Christ, putting on the armor of God against all those things that threaten us as Christian people. And in the contemporary world, we forget that sometimes living the Christian life is a bit of spiritual discipline and a bit of spiritual fighting. So we need that breastplate. We need to put on that armor of light in this mortal life. Stanza 6 that I want to focus on in this hymn number 370 and the hymnal 82. Of course, that very beautiful text is, Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all that love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. The thing that brings me to contemplate these words this year is the invocation of Jesus, of Christ, all around us and within us, beside, beneath, behind, before, above, inside, within me, and in all circumstances, that Jesus be with us, all around us, and all within us, every single day. That is a prayer worthy of praying, each and every one of us, all the time. So my friends, I pray that Christ be with you as we gather this Sunday, and of course each and every day. Christ be with you, Christ be in you, and that you be Christ to those around you. I'll see you on Sunday. Until then, blessings.